this is chapter 2 of Godzilla creepypasta. So, yeah. Pathos was the same as Jupiter in layout, except the border was dark blue rather than green. The first thing I noticed was that all the usual level icons had been replaced by a blue rock in some kind of orange honeycomb shape. And there was one icon that had a part of the jungle icon shape, but I didn't pay much thought of it. I checked the other side of the board, see the new monsters instead of her husband. It was boring. But that couldn't have been right. Godzilla vs. Balloon didn't come until 1989, and this game was made in 1988. Perhaps Toho put Bonnet in the game to build excitement for the movie next year, but it changed their minds. I tried to realize the game's anyway. I could, but this would prove to be futile. Pathos Map song was the first new song I heard in the game. Like most of the new songs, it was hard to describe. I'll try. It started out slow and suspenseful, much slower than any song in the game. But every 12 seconds or so there would be a loud clashing sound, and the tempo changed. It was like a computer randomly playing parts from 5 different songs with the same instruments. I moved Godzilla over to one of the many blue rock icons that had replaced the jungle icons and started the level. The level resembled a blue mountain range with a blood red planet in the sky. But there was something odd about the mountains. They had a shredded paper. Look to them, I thought at first. Maybe the glitch had affected it, but it looked too emotional. I quickly noticed something else about this new level. There were no enemies, not at all, not even any obstacles. I should also mention that the point meter started to become glitched beyond comparison. But it didn't bother me much. I never keep up with game points, so without having to focus on anything, I listened to the music while walking through the level unpaused. The music had a sorrowful feel to it. It would have been rather pleasant had I heard it a normal game. The level went for 3 screens, but with no obstacles around, I finished it very quickly. I tried another level of the same type to see if any enemies appear, but there were none. There was little else to be seen in the Blue Mountains, so I tried the other level type. I started one of the orange levels, and my eyes were assaulted with a griffin background of Shuma's orange eyes. The sky was the same as the ground, so I assumed the game was insulating that this level takes place in a cave.
Now I'm going to take these down.
The only enemies here were magnet spawn, but you can see the little things everywhere. Were everywhere. The music certainly didn't help, with a mixture of screeching sounds and loud drum beats. That sounded like a monster's theme in a horror film. After completing it, I tried to avoid playing through any more of these levels whenever I could. The map was short, so it was only a few minutes before I headed towards the mountain with Joramorga. But this time, there were sprites, and attack patterns were vastly different. I fought Magura first. Magura's replacement was a flying machine with a slight resemblance to a personal alien. It was a bit like fighting Martha, only it moved with a lot more grace. It attacked by spinning its front tentacle in like a corkscrew, and it still had an eye beam, except now it fired from the drill. This lanky airman had replaced Godzilla, and the new beast was more of a challenge. It would run and jump at a fast pace, constantly swinging its arms around, making it hard to get close. And of course it tried to pin me in the corner with as much annoying resolve as ever. I defeated it using a combination of tail whips and heat beam spamming. I defeated them and was going to fight Tyrannosaurus, but when I started to fight Tyrannosaurus was nowhere to be seen, and the game simply went back to the map with the Tyrannosaurus piece now missing. There was no one left to fight now but Brilliant, so I eagerly started the battle. I was quite surprised that Brilliant started the fight in her rose form. She was impossible and used tentacles to keep away from the main body, which took her most damage. As expected, she turned into her final form after taking enough damage. This fight looked pretty good for 8-bit. The battle technique was the same, except now Brilliant could move elbow slower than any other monster. Being hit by the tentacles did more damage now, and Brilliant could do a split, which I managed to avoid by jumping in the screen cap. Not much more difficult to beat Tyrannosaurus. It only took 2 rounds, but when Brilliant was gone, the music had stopped, and there was a new icon replacing the base. This icon wasn't there before. I beat Brilliant. It resembled a red turbo mask, and I had a feeling of dread when I saw it. But since it replaced the base, I must be the only path. I moved Godzilla to the square and started the level. It was a hellish-looking place with no sky and a flickering fire in the background. The fire looked far more advanced than anything I'd seen in the NES. There was no music in the form, so steady drum sound resembling a heartbeat. All the text on the top of the screen and the life bar were gone. In their place was a single bit of text in the middle of the screen that said "Run." My feeling of dread had instant. I curiously walked through the level, but like the blue monsters, there were no enemies. I paced around for a minute before thinking, run? From what? And the first time it hit me, I didn't even see it. I heard a noise outside my room and turned back to see if something fell. And I looked back. Godzilla was dying. I figured it must have been a glitch. But I wasn't going to play through the game without Godzilla, so I restarted the game and went to the password screen. Have I ever mentioned how creepy the password screen music is? If you've played the game, you know what I mean. It doesn't at all fit the mood of the game. It's more like something from a horror game. Maybe they made it so the kids wouldn't cheat. I was quite annoyed at this point because I thought I was going to have to fight a monster again, but that didn't happen. The game started me off right where I was before, so the red face level. So I tried again, making sure to pay attention this time. That's where I heard a low bellowing sound, and then I saw it. This thing. Do you know do you know that feeling your body has when you feel like you're in extreme danger? You start recording and tense up as the adrenaline flows through your veins and you're nervous so you start feeling very cold. That's the feeling I had when I took the screen cap. I haven't seen all of the Godzilla movies, but I'm pretty sure this was never in any of them. It had to be something the creators made up. But what kind of sick stuff would what kind of sick person would put this in a children's game? By sheer dumb luck, or perhaps the adrenaline boost, I managed to run fast enough to get away from it It ran very fast, so much so that if you saw it, you're almost certainly going to die. And when I say to die, I mean your monster gets killed instantly by a creature's touches them. Once I had gone back to the map, I was so afraid that I extremely tempted to shut off the game and try to pretend this never happened. I couldn't believe what I just seen. It couldn't have been real. And even if I wanted to continue, I still had to get Martha through the chase level. But as I stayed interactive on the map screen for a few minutes, my fear was replaced by burning thirsty. What the heck had just happened? What was the rest of the game like? I only had beat this level with Martha, and then it was on to the next world. But when I moved Martha to the red face, the game registered it as me beating the level. I was quite relieved. I tried to prepare myself for the next world to dance.